Hello, everybody! My name is Kevin Andrew Rivera. We got Raul Ceballos over here. Raul, how are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing all right.
We got Ted Evans over here as a special guest as always. How you doing, Ted?
What's up?
And welcome to Real Geek News. Here we're about to talk about some Black Adam review. Spoiler alert, if you don't like spoilers, why are you listening? You shouldn't be listening. Get out of here. While you still can. We're going to reveal everything. Did you know that Batman dies in the end? It's crazy. Man, I can't believe it.
Come on.
Without further ado, let's get right into this, you guys. We got, first and foremost, I'm very excited to be able to talk about Black Adam because I know all three of us have quite strong opinions, either in different directions or pretty similar in different ways. I don't know, we'll see. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the ratings. We're looking at IMDb. IMDb gives it a 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 40% critic score, audience score of 90%. 90%. Then Metacritic score, we've got 41% critic score for Metacritic and 7.4% for the user score out of 10%.
90%. That's insane.
Gentlemen, yes, I'm so glad.
The Snyder Bros flooded.
Listen, I just want
to rate this 5.
I want to just start off by saying I think I'm the only one in this group right now who is like, yes, Black Adam, yes, by the end of this. But let me just say, it's not a perfect movie whatsoever. It's no Shakespeare. It's no Oscar-worthy film. It is not Civil War. It is not Infinity War. There's a lot of wars in Marvel, I just realized. But it's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, and it's one of his best Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movies out of all the ones he does. And that's not saying much. There's not as many good movies for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But what I think he does bring is a fun time. Doesn't matter how bad the script and writing is, he can still bring a fun time. So for me, this experience, I was like, God, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that's been written so poorly and yet made me go, damn, I kind of want to watch this again. So, Raul, why don't I pass it on to you right now? What are your thoughts on Black Adam?
Well, I agree with you as far as The Rock, really kind of, this movie gets by a lot on The Rock being The Rock. And for me, and I think he does a lot of the heavy lifting. Him and Pierce Brosnan, who I found to be another standout of the movie, because I mean, it's fun.
Language.
No.
It's freaking, look at that. It's freaking Pierce Brosnan. I think he brings a level of gravitas to it that I found fun. Other than that, for me, it's just kind of a meh movie because The Rock does carry a lot of it. It's not enough for me. It's not enough. Yeah, you mentioned, Kevin, like The Rock brings it, this and that, but the writing's not great, and that's it for me. The writing isn't great, and I think I'm looking for a little bit more than what I was given. So I'm not as crazy about it as I think you are, Kevin. I think it's just kind of middle of the road. Meh, it was fun, but I think there was a lot to be desired, especially with plot and scripts and certain characters. So that's where I'm coming down on it.
Totally agree. I think to me it's a combination of the editing and the writing that makes the movie not as good as it could be. Because if you fix the writing, you could have, fleshed out more character stuff, given us more moments, but also the pacing seemed a little bit, fast and slow, just out of nowhere. Ted, what about you? What did you think so far?
Thought it sucked. No, if Kevin is one end of the spectrum, I am probably closer to the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it a lot lately because when I have a very visceral reaction to something, I always go to the internet and I'm like, what did everyone else think? And how did they think this? If I thought this, and it always happens, especially with these big movies, whether it's, Last Jedi or any of these movies that are really divisive and have people going one way or the other. This movie is, I would rank it somewhere in the middle of DC's catalog. I think it's about as good as Aquaman. And whether or not you like Aquaman, I'm not a huge fan of Aquaman. So I would put it kind of right around there. I thought this had a lot of issues. like you said, with the pacing, with the script writing, there's a lot of fun to be had. This is the kind of movie that I would put on while I'm doing chores.
Hmm.
You know, something that I really don't want to pay attention to much, but is like, oh, that's fun, you know, because that's what this movie was. It was,
Yeah.
and when you're sitting in the theater and you have nowhere to go and your focus is only on that, you're like, man, I don't care about any of the stuff that's going on. No matter how cool it is, like, there's nothing for me to like latch onto. I thought The Rock, as charming as he is, had to like dull that down for this particular performance, or he thought he had to. And, you know, like someone pointed out that the kid, you know, teaching him how to like sort of interact with the world, it's very much like Shazam, like carbon copied.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It's the fish out of water that we've seen before. That's the thing. Overall, I think it just felt like stuff we've seen before, and the writing didn't draw me into the characters. And this is Black Adam's origin story, and he's like fighting for screen time, literally, with the Justice Squad, Justice Society.
I like Justice Squad though. That sounds good.
Justice Squad.
The Suicide League.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of like what you said earlier though about it. You thought it was very similar to Aquaman. I remember at the end of the theater, because we all went to watch it together. Ted, you were like, it's like they took action figures and they just smashed them into each other. And my point of view was like, that's exactly how I felt about Aquaman as well. Except I loved Aquaman. Like I like the idea of being sent back to my childhood playing with action figures, because when you see Aquaman doing that, you're like, yeah. Although in my point of view, I thought Aquaman did it better than Black Adam. Like, I still felt like I was playing with action figures with Black Adam, but like, I don't know, they were missing a toy or something like that.
Aquaman, you at least have the novelty of it all being underwater, so that kind of adds an extra layer of like.
That's true.
You know, it makes it a little more interesting, because it's like, oh, let's see what they can do with water effects and battles underwater and all that stuff. I mean, with this movie, like, you take all that out, it's like every other movie we've seen, right? As far as like these big battles go. But yeah, at least with Aquaman, there's like that slight difference.
Yeah, totally.
And they spent a lot of time with the characterization of the brother and that conflict. You know, Aquaman we could talk about for another hour as well, just because I think that has issues in the same way. And I think that DC, for me personally, this sort of recurring thing is how I feel about a lot of it outside of the Batman movies, where we do a lot of character work, is that it's just these heroes, and sometimes they're saying dialogue that sounds like it's ripped straight out of the comics. But some of that dialogue looks great on paper and sounds ridiculous when people say it.
If I recall, I remember just anytime one of the superheroes would say anything, I'm sitting next to you, Ted, and you're just like, no.
Yeah. Laughing at all the wrong parts. You know, when they attempted humor, I wasn't laughing, and anytime they weren't.
You could tell, it would be all silent, and then you would hear Ted,
Oh, God.
They said what? I will admit though, like, you know, as poor as the writing might have been, there were a couple jokes that really got me. Like, there, you know, I personally like all the catchphrase stuff that Black Adam was trying to say in the middle of the whole movie. Especially with like some chase scenes where he's clearly still trying to use this slogan or this catchphrase that this kid's teaching him, and he's still messing it up. And it's like, okay, there's the charm of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but more subtle version of what he usually does. Because you're right, Ted. Like, I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson really toned down his level of I guess charisma is what I'd say, but his badass side kicks in, and I see more of like the wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson much more than movie star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which, I don't know, to me was kind of a cool blend. Like, I kind of enjoyed the way that he made that work.
That's a good point.
I felt like The Rock was definitely a presence in this movie. When he wasn't on screen, you kind of wanted him to be there because he was so OP. You know,
totally
like
was.
This is like, it just, you can't hurt him unless you have this. It's like Superman, you know. And the action is so like like very fast into an explosion through a wall, but he's not phased by anything, and so thus like it gets pretty old pretty quick. Like,
Well, until we talk about the Eternium stuff, because like once that thing starts damaging him, it's like, oh, that's his kryptonite. Okay, I see what
Yeah.
they're doing.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
we got to give him some weakness, right?
But it is kind of like, it's one of those things where after like the 20th time of seeing him just like burst through a wall where he could just easily walk through a door, it's like that joke got old pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just seeing him do that over and over and over. It is one of those things that it's kind of like a joke that goes on and then it stops being funny, but then it keeps going on and it becomes funny again. But I don't think that's what they were going for with
That's
this.
why I loved it so much.
It eventually got funny again for me, but I don't think that's what they were trying to go for with it.
Oh man,
It was
telling
funny
you,
because it was so ridiculous how many times they've been doing that.
I feel like Dwayne The Rock Johnson is just like the way he presented this movie. I just felt like it was all an internet meme kind of thing. Like, this is for the fans. Like, okay, I get it. It's for us. Like, we could just have fun with it, with however it is. But you know, him bursting through the walls. I think I must have laughed like every single time it happened because it always comes out of nowhere.
I like the one where he did the slow burst through the wall. That one.
Oh, it's so
stands out
good.
in my mind, as far as like he's in the bedroom with talking to the kid and he just like, I'm done with this conversation.
Yeah. But I think that's something that I was like, as far as we're talking about, you know, Dwayne Johnson being stripped of his charisma. That is one thing I was worried about going into this movie because, I mean, in the trailers and all the marketing, he's so stoic and he's so serious. And I got really nervous about that because for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, what draws people to Dwayne Johnson is his charisma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that way of just the smile he gives when he's like doing
smiling.
something badass, the face, you know, the mug into the camera and the
Eyebrow.
the eyebrow, all that stuff. It's great. We all love it. You know, he oozes charisma, this guy. But in the trailers and everything leading up to the movie, I'm like, oh no, they stripped that away from him. So I was worried about that going in. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like this because you've taken the thing about him that everybody loves and you've like dialed it all the way down. And now he's all stoic and serious. But having said that, I still would have preferred to see a little bit more of that side of him. But with what I got, like to your point, Kevin, he still has the presence of like, it's like I almost forgot, like, oh yeah, he was like doing serious stuff like as a wrestler. You know, he was playing that badass, like stoic kind of serious role, you know, before he became the movie star, right? So I had kind of forgotten about that. And so even though he was stripped away of a lot of that kind of fun charm with the smiling and all that stuff that we got used to, seeing him in this movie, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because it was still fun, but he was playing it in a very different way. And like I said, it's like I had forgotten, like, oh yeah, he did this stuff with WWE, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I still had fun with it, with his presence. But
I
yeah.
just lowered my expectations as low as possible because
I
again,
did too.
I'm not a Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. Like, I usually hate his movies. Anytime I see him do anything, San Andreas, how do we even need to talk about that movie? That's so bad. Rampage was so bad. Like,
Didn't even see it.
anytime I see Dwayne The Rock Johnson working on something, I just go, ugh, okay, that's fine. It's just
Skyscraper.
Is Dwayne The Rock Johnson just being Dwayne The Rock Johnson? But every now and then, I'll find a little movie here and there that I go, oh, that actually, I lowered my expectations so low, but you actually brought the quality up to what you usually do, like compared to what you usually do. So like
Yeah.
Jungle Book, or not Jungle Book, sorry. What was
Jungle
it?
Cruise.
Jungle
Jumanji
Cruise.
was,
Jumanji.
Jungle Cruise was kind of, yeah.
It was okay.
That's the thing is like I'm a huge
and
Dwayne Johnson fan, The Rock. I really love. That's the thing for me. It's like even in like his bad movies, he's still quite often the best part about them because like again he just carries it with his charm and charisma. So,
Also, his acting has gotten better and better throughout the years.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Oh,
been
yeah.
really nice to see for him.
This ain't no Scorpion King no more.
Yeah, no more Scorpion. Ugh, that's another one. Hercules. Ugh. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many movies that he's worked on where I'm just like, I just don't want to see him. And the other thing is also like, you know, when I look at Dwayne The Rock Johnson, quote unquote, leading the DCU, there's a part of me that's worried because I'm like, I don't want it to be the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson show. But based on his interviews about this movie, the way he talks about how, like, you know, I'm the greatest, I'm the strongest person on the planet, but I'm not the strongest person on the universe because that character's been sidelined for too long and we need him to come back. And we're going to talk about that later. But it's to me, what that tells me is like, hey, listen, I'm a wrestler. I know what the audience wants when I'm on stage fighting my opponent because I hear their demands. So if they don't want me to win, I should not be winning. This guy needs to win now, and I need to give them their screen time, I guess, or put them on the spotlight so that, you know, that's how the game works when you're wrestling. And I think he's kind of applying the same thing to the movies. So I hope that's kind of what he's going to be doing for the future of the DCEU if he continues to be a part of it, you know?
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's one of the great things about him is that he listens to fans, you know, and he knows, you know, like you were saying, ever since he started in wrestling, like that's always what he did. He says it himself, like all the time. He always likes to give the fans what they want, and he's always listening to them. And he really takes their thoughts and feelings and concerns into consideration. So for him, I can tell, especially with Black Adam. I mean, this movie was announced like, what, almost a decade ago?
Dude, it's like 14, 15 years now. It's crazy.
It's been so long since they first announced this movie. You can tell he's put his heart and soul into this movie. You can tell he's worked really hard on it. He does for a lot of his films. You know, he doesn't just show up and half-ass anything. I mean, the man is a very, very hard worker, one of the hardest working guys in Hollywood right now. Yeah. So, you know, he puts his all into these movies, and it shows in his performance.
That being said, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I feel like the script was written in like 2005. Yeah. Like that's what it feels absolutely. Like to me. Because there's so much cheese to the script. Whenever these characters interact with each other, there's a part of me that while I was watching it, like, yes, I was enjoying it, but I cringed at a couple of lines. But I was like, man, like, if Tobey Maguire had this same type of script in his Spider-Man movies, I would have been just fine with it watching it back then. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like they already had written the script back in 2005, and they'd just been holding it for all these years until now it finally can come out. So it's like, man, it is kind of a bummer that they didn't learn from, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Look at what's trending with those guys and how they're writing their stuff. You can write something just as good or better because you literally have the answers written out for you right here. You know, so that is a missed opportunity. So I think there's a lot of potential if they ever wanted to do a Black Adam 2. But, you know, they got to make some stronger choices when it comes to the writing and maybe when it comes to the directing and editing. But, you know, that all being said, are we ready? Do you guys want to just start going down the list of how this story starts from the beginning to the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then, gentlemen. Let's begin with the beginning of this goddamn script here. So we start off in 2600 BC, the tyrannical king Kandak Acton, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, created the crown of Sabak, known to give the wearer great power. After attempting to stage a revolt, a young slave boy is given the powers of Shazam by the ancient council of wizards, transforming him into Kandak's heroic champion. The champion allegedly kills Acton and ends his reign, but the champion is never to be seen for some mysterious reason. All right, gents. So what do we think of this intro for the movie?
Hated it. So, this is one of the things that I felt they really dropped the ball on, is that, and like, they spent so much time throwing this villain into the third act and dealing with the Justice Society, is that it detracted from what could have been a really interesting story as far as him coming to grips with basically having committed genocide, you know, and that is where I think Black Adam's, the interest in that character really lies, because, oh, he's super powerful, he got Shazam powers, great. It like, the fact that he fought against slavery and went too far, I think is one of the more interesting things about this character. And I felt that they rushed this intro, and with that stupid voiceover they had, this kid voiceover, it felt rushed. It felt cheesy, Hollywood, overproduced. It didn't feel real. It felt like, when are we going to get to the Black Adam stuff? And I felt that they should have either done like a flash forward flash back to this or something, but it just felt like such a weird way to open the movie.
It was quite an information dump. It was very
definitely
overwhelming.
yeah.
I do remember so many things were getting explained at the very top. It just felt like too much. Too much was being thrown at me all at once, and I kind of glossed over at that point. Yeah.
I thought a lot about, like, you know how like Black Panther starts with, "Father, will you tell me the story of Wakanda?" And then like the dad like narrates the introduction of how Wakanda was born. Like I thought it was kind of doing something similar to that, but again, not as good. You know, like it was what Ted just said. They overproduced it, like it's super Hollywood. Also, they introduced you to Dwayne The Rock Johnson in that intro as the dad, and like. You know, I know that the whole movie is trying to make you think that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is that little boy in the beginning, but the trailers of the movie showed you
they gave
him.
it away.
Yeah, they gave that away. So I was like, why are you trying to trick me right now? I already know that, that the dad is Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know? So you even see Dwayne The Rock Johnson in the movie, like in the beginning there, they're trying to cut off his face or whatever, do some CGI over his face with his wimpy body. It did look very bad. I was like, man, like, guys, look at Captain America and just learn from that. You could have done that. The problem was that they didn't shrink Dwayne The Rock Johnson's head.
Yeah.
They kept his giant muscular head, man. It's just so obvious. But yeah, the fact that they tried to keep him in the shadows to not let you know that that's him, it's like, guys, who are you trying to kid? That's a superstar. That's a movie star, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah. If you hear his voice, you know it's him, you know?
What a more interesting choice would it have been to let us in on The Rock back in the day. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought he was like current. And then we get to care about him as a character, watch him lose his son, you know, and then get these power, you know, then that would have been like so much more compelling to drive the story forward, where now in the future he knows that he's not a hero. You know, he keeps saying, I'm not a hero, I'm not a hero. And then like we get this really quick flash to him like killing everyone. But if we had that like the vitriol of him losing his son and then rising up against the people that did it and getting that revenge and going too far, that would have been a really compelling, interesting way of navigating that. But instead it felt rushed, and it made me not really care.
I like that better, yeah.
I will say this too, that I didn't know about Kondak when I went into this movie, because I don't read the comics. You know, I didn't want to know everything and just be like, I know what's happening. But it took me by surprise, because I thought it was kind of cool learning about Kondak and how that country worked, and you know, they're all being enslaved, and like there's a lot of cool stuff to work off of. I think, Ted, you're right. Like they could have done that intro and just kept it going with Dwayne The Rock Johnson's storyline. That way we don't have to have all these crazy surprises by the end. It's like, now we focus on the character and his development more than we care about the mystery, you know?
Well, because they ruined the mystery in the trailers anyway.
Exactly.
So it's like, why do you even bother doing it this way if you're just going to ruin it in the trailers? Like, there's no... Because, like, yeah, what you guys are saying, when I saw that and I saw the father, you know, Dwayne Johnson's character come up, I'm like, oh, well, there's Dwayne Johnson. Okay, so something's going to happen so that he gets the powers instead. And then they gloss over it and like, oh, but you don't really know what happens. And, you know, like, and I'm like, no, I'm not being fooled here. It's exactly what you're saying. I'm just repeating what you're saying.
You're like, basically. It's clearly the dad. We don't know what happened to the hero.
It was just annoying and frustrating because they thought they were being way smarter than the audience. And it just like that just made me roll my eyes, you know.
That's totally what it is. Yeah, if they had changed the commercials and they didn't show us that scene of him with his son dying in the trailer, I think maybe then we would have appreciated much more. Like I'm wondering, like my roommate, for example, who's not a movie fan, who doesn't like superhero stuff, but every now and then goes to watch them and is surprised because she's just a regular moviegoer. I wonder how she would respond to it, because for us, it's like we're dissecting the trailers. We're like trying to look up everything we can about these characters. But maybe their experience would have been different. But who knows? Not for us. Any last stuff for this before we go to the next part, guys?
I think they should have. I know he got like beyond ripped to be Black Adam. It was like very important that he was just larger than life.
Oh yeah,
his workout. If they had like treated this as a B movie and before he went to work out, he was sort of normal size, and then just used him and showed him at the beginning of the movie, and then it can cut back and forth between present and where he's Black Adam, and you're thinking, wait, he didn't have powers before. Or maybe we see his son get powers, and then it's like, wait, the son gets powers? But you would still have that kind of confusion, but it doesn't, it's not like a, ha-ha, it was actually the son who got powers, and then he gave them to him when his CGI face was on there. Because that was, I was actually surprised by that. I didn't see that coming. Like, you guys knew that. I hadn't caught that from the trailers. So it was a surprise for me. But then when they showed his stupid CGI face, I didn't care. I was like, this okay, whatever. His son got the powers and he got the powers. That's fine. I just felt they had us. They could have had us at the top.
Yeah.
And it just didn't.
Do you like the fact that it's the dad who's Black Adam and not the son? Because I think in the comics it is supposed to be the son the whole time.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's compelling. I do think the story is compelling that, like, the son was actually very noble, you know, and he actually really cared for freedom and you know, and then he decided to sacrifice himself for his father.
Yeah.
You know, and what does his father do with this power? Well, he becomes vengeful, and he knows that he can't be as idealistic and as noble as his son was. All he can see is vengeance. I mean, I do think that's Batman. A very compelling story. I just think the way it was executed it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you have him, like, you know, we don't know this for a fact, that it just looks like he's staring at a statue of himself for like the first 4 scenes. And he keeps doing it. He's just like floating in midair, which looks stupid as fuck.
Language.
Have him stand there. Come on. He just looks stupid. He's floating there looking at this statue of himself. So we think at first. And then they do the reveal. It's like, aha, it was a statue of his son. What do you think about that? And I was like, I would have been more interested if we as an audience knew that was the son at the top and other characters figure it out.
Yeah, that's weird. For me, because I knew that was the son, when I saw him just staring at the rock, like, the rock, he's staring at himself. I just realized that's totally the joke right there. When he's staring at it, like, I saw in his face that he's just like, I'll never be as good as my son. But, like, that's so true. Like, if you didn't know, he just looks like an idiot.
Yeah, he just
looking at himself.
Staring at this rock statue. Yeah, and I don't think The Rock is a good enough actor to really portray on his face all those emotions. It just looked like, this rock.
Do you think that means? Do you think that means that gives you rewatchability now that you know? Like, would you go back and watch it now?
Oh, I'm never watching this shit again.
I'm totally gonna watch it again.
But Ted, if you go back and watch it again, you'll get more out of it.
And I'll get it.
You'll get it.
You'll understand the genius behind Black Adam, dude. Let's move on to the next scene here, you guys. In the present day, Kahndaq is oppressed by the Intergang. Archaeologist Adriana Tomas tries to locate the crown of Sabak with the help of her brother Karim and colleagues Samir and Ishmael Gregor. As Adriana obtains the crown, they are ambushed by Intergang. I thought this whole thing, like, I knew right from the beginning that, you know, they're trying to get us to like these characters because they're the main characters, supposedly. Like, they're the Shia LaBeouf of Transformers for Black Adam. You know, so they're the ones that are going to be running around, trying not to get killed by the superheroes. I get it. But all they did was give us exposition, so I didn't care as much for them. I was just like, okay, like, the uncle's cool, like, he's kind of funny, but, like, the other two guys behind Adriana, like, I didn't care about them whatsoever. I knew that she was gonna be, like, the important character, you know, she was the Shia LaBeouf character, so I was like, all right, okay, let's see, she's smart, that's cool, all right, if somebody dies, I'm not gonna care as much, you know, and that's why when Samir gets thrown off this mountain, I'm like, okay, bye, Samir. You know, I don't know what else to tell you, you know?
I would have loved to see him actually get thrown off the mountain, because he just sort of, like, it's the shot of him on the ground, then just cuckoo. Like, just out of nowhere, like, what just happened? Did he trip? Like,
And
No, you fell
Kareem,
off the mountain.
Kareem's like, what the hell? Like, dude, of course you. I thought Kareem was gonna be one of the bad guys because he's like, I'll stay in the car because I'm just gonna listen to music. And I'm like, all right, so he's working with the bad guys and he's trying to relay some information or something. So that did take me by surprise when that wasn't the case. But
That whole scene was very clumsy.
yeah, I think they were trying to establish that the uncle was supposed to be the funny guy. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. I think he could have done a better job doing that.
I don't know what they were trying to establish. I honestly don't. I'm okay. Who the hell is Intergang? They just explain him as just a group of mercenaries, right? They're just another group of mercenaries.
I wasn't sure if they were like Americans or not, or Australians.
No,
or British.
there were like some Aussies, some Brits, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But
they were the ones trying to liberate Kondak.
Well, no, they were technically
mercenaries?
like the next group of people that are enslaving Kondak. So it's just
That is Intergangs. So they're the ones with the checkpoint, you know.
yeah,
Right, yeah,
those
correct.
guys, yeah. And I just didn't. Okay, all they did was really just explain they're just mercenaries, and Kondak has years and years and years. You know, it's kind of like from one exchange to another. Somebody has always had some sort of occupation over Kondak and has been oppressing people. Okay, I get it. Great.
I just assumed it was England.
Well, you know, it's like Star Wars. The bad guys are always British, so you just assume, he's got an accent. He's got an English accent. These are the bad guys. Got it.
Like I think they were very to the point about it. Like they were like, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like it's fine. But like I think something that we've been talking about is when it comes to the writing, like they don't add the third dimension to the characters in these opening scenes. Like I don't care as much because they're very two-dimensional. They're just, I'm the bad guy, I'm the good guy, I'm the secret bad guy. Yeah, we know you're the secret bad guy. You know, it's just very plain and simple. And I wonder if they did that because, you know, it's just The Rock going, we're trying to make it to the point so you just like it and have a fun time and turn off your brain. Which,
exactly.
Yeah, like I guess we can do that. That's what I did, I guess.
I guess, but that just kind of that. For me, my problem is this lack of, I don't know, dimension here with the bad guys, and really Ishmael by extension. It's just so weak, and it's something I feel like we've seen so many times before. Like it's another one of those, and we can get it more into Ishmael and Sabak later on. But to me, I'm just gonna show my hand right now. I thought it was very one-dimensional, and the motivations behind it are just like, just world domination kind of. It's the mustache twisting thing over and over again.
Yep.
And I did not give a crap. I just did not care.
But also that's another reason why like you enjoy Dwayne The Rock Johnson more when he just destroys and kills all of them, because you're just like, dude, look at him just tossing them all around.
Well,
it's nuts.
That's fun. That's definitely fun. But I just don't know why these guys care about what they care about. Why do they want what is it?
It's a weekend fest.
What is
Eternium?
Eternium. We got
Is it
vibranium,
sad? Is it sad that
Eternium.
I literally think of crypto, like Ethereum, every time I hear Eternium, and I'm like,
what's
they're
that
investing in
stupid,
cryptocurrencies?
What's that stupid? The unobtainium, right, from Avatar? Isn't that what that's called in Avatar? Unobtainium?
Unobtainium.
Isn't that what they call it?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Bro, I haven't been to Pandora since 2009. You're asking the wrong guy.
I don't, it just, okay, they want it for this. So Ishmael's working with these mercenaries, right? And they want that uranium, whatever the hell it is. Eternium, yeah. They want it so that they can get this crown, so they can bring Sabak back to ruled. It's weak. I don't know. I don't care.
We must bring our lord back from the dead. Yeah, I think
it's paint by numbers.
I will
say
say
paint by numbers.
Right from the beginning, when you see Ishmael, like, you know, what's his name, Samar, like the guy who falls off the mountain. As soon as it cuts to like Adriana going, "Where's Samar?" Oh, he wasn't feeling good. I was like, you're the villain. Yeah, and also based on the flashback with the king, you look exactly like the actor who plays the king. You're probably his, like, you know, the future him. You're like, you're his descendant. That's what I'm looking for. Like, it's so obvious. I know what you're doing. But, like, that's why if you know from the beginning, give me something to flesh him out so I can appreciate him, because he becomes this one-dimensional character of meh, like you said, Raul. So again, if you're gonna make it obvious, at least make us have a good time with it at the same time, or just tell us straight up. Don't try to trick us, because we're too smart for that. Like we as the audience members, I think I would say most of the audience would have figured it out at that point, especially if you go watch movies a lot. But anyways,
this movie definitely was trying to trick us a lot.
It definitely was.
The writing, a lot of the writing in this movie was like, you didn't see that coming. And I'm like, yeah, I did actually. I saw all of this coming.
But that's why when Dwayne The Rock Johnson does beat them all up, I was just like, man, I hate these two-dimensional characters so much. Just punch the hell out of them and kill them already. And then here comes Black Adam going boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, yes. All right, I'm having a good time. This is exactly what I came here for then. Speaking of being attacked by Intergang, Adriana reads an incantation that awakens Teth-Adam, whom she believes to be Kandak's champion, from his slumber. Adam subsequently slaughters most of the Intergang troops. He's knocked out after holding one of Intergang's Eternium rockets. So again, that was our kryptonite hint for the storytelling part. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I loved all the fight sequences. Like, I think the action in this movie is incredible, and especially this introduction to Black Adam where he's just floating up in the air and he's like, oh, your magic is weak, old man. And then he goes and just kills them all. I'm like, bro, this is exactly how an evil Superman would be killing everybody right now. Just one at a time, fly up right to their face, grab their head, and zap them all until they turn into nothing but bones and dust. I mean, that's pretty cool, How'd you guys feel about that?
This was the scene that was like the Quicksilver knockoff, which for me felt very derivative, the whole scene. And there's something about the way that he moves where it's just like, it's just so fast.
Yeah.
Until it, does, like, I love him electrocuting people and crumbling them. And everyone was talking about like, oh, this scene is so brutal. I'm like, you guys must not, like, I watch a lot of horror movies. I'm like, they get punched and we see some black stuff fly off. Like, this is obviously, made so it's family friendly enough.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's brutal by any means, but, I guess seeing part of a skeleton getting electrocuted might.
I guess for this type of movie, I guess, yeah.
Well, isn't it like they do enough to not let you see blood splatter on the wall, right? Like, isn't that like the thing that makes it rated R? They're really.
You can have blood. You can have blood. It's there's not to go into too much detail about the MPAA, but they have certain regulations about like the certain how brightly colored the blood is versus how darkly colored the blood is. Like if it's
right. Like they're allowed to have bloody scratches on their face and whatever, but like you can't put Black Adam on camera ripping someone's head off and you see all the blood gushing out kind of thing. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. But that's why even, like, the zapping scene where he's just zapping this dude's face, they take the camera off of them and they just look at the Intergang group's reaction to it instead. Yeah. But, like, you feel it because, the visuals are good enough that it tricks you into thinking, like, oh, shit, this is dope, this is crazy what's happening. And you hear the zapping and the screaming and you're like, okay, I'm filling in the image in my head on what else is happening, and so that gives you more adrenaline, whatever. But I mean, overall, I think they did a good job introducing Black Adam with his powers, floating up in midair. Freaking, what was it? They had like scenes where they even cut to Adriana trying to hide away in the corner while you see Black Adam from far away just flying around, killing everybody, going up the stairs, throwing people off the top of the stairs, and they're all falling down flat on their faces. It's nuts.
I will say I get what you're saying, Ted, about it being derivative. I will say though, I didn't, at the time that I watched it, I was just like wanting something to happen.
Anything, yeah.
So anything. So when that actually happened, I thought I really enjoyed this scene where you first see him just like wrecking shop, And for me, he was actually kind of scary, like if I was trying to put myself in the position of these guys in the cave there, I mean, that's a freaky way to be introduced to this guy, like this big powerhouse of a guy in the dark, and he's shrouded in the cape and the cowl, and he's got, you can't really see his face, but he's just like wrecking shop and like just trashing these dudes left and right, and blowing them up with the lightning and all that stuff. That was just that was the impression I was left with in that scene, just like how imposing he is. Like, I would not want to be there with all this stuff happening,
Especially with there's one Intergang member who was like hiding behind rocks, and like you could see in his face the terror of being in that room. And for like a split second, I felt bad for him, because I was like, damn, if that was me, like, this guy would rip my head off. Yeah. And then suddenly, I think, what is it, that Black Adam punches through the rock and just punches the guy's head or something like that? Or like zaps it?
Yeah, he like, he zaps him through the rock or something. Like, yeah, he sees him.
It's just the level of relentlessness that Black Adam gives to these guys. He's just monster destroying these guys.
Yeah. I did have that feeling watching it, like, oh my God, this would freak me out.
Totally.
So it was effective in that way. And then like I said, I was like ready for something to start happening. That when it came in, I was like, yeah, sure, this seems a little Days of Future Pasty with the, the 70s music and all that stuff. But I'm like, whatever, I'll go with it. I did I did think Paint It Black was a little too on the nose. Like, okay, all right, Paint It Black. There we go.
There was definitely a lot of like rock and roll music playing throughout this movie too. Yeah. Which I wasn't sure if I was like, this is perfect for this movie or not. But then there was another part of me that was like, well, this is very cheesy. Like the writing itself is cheesy, so the music itself would probably add on to that cheese. And so maybe that's what makes it work for me in a cheesy way, Sure. But on to our next scene here. We got a public government official, Amanda Waller, learns of the incident and contacts Carter Hall, or Hawkman, and the JSA, Justice Society of America, or what did you say, Justice Squad?
Justice Squad.
The Justice Squad, consisting of Kent Nelson as Dr. Fate, Maxine Hunkel as Cyclone, and Albert Al Rothstein as Adam Smasher, to assist in taking Adam into custody. Dr. Fate sees into the future that Hawkman's fate is death. How'd you guys feel about the introductions to these JSA members and, what they're going to bring to the table, hopefully?
Well, this whole section confused the heck out of me, because I don't know where does this movie take place in the timeline of the events of the DCEU.
I don't even think we're supposed to think about it.
Did the Justice Society, it sounds like the Justice Society has been around for a while. Why haven't we seen them before? Amanda Waller, what is she doing around? I thought she was on the run. Because if this is supposed to take place after like Peacemaker and all that, because didn't that end with her being like on the run?
What happened? Yeah, what happened with the blonde lady who's married to James Gunn, who's in Peacemaker?
She showed up
in it too.
She showed up here too. Showed up when they brought him in, when they brought Black Adam in and they shackled him and put him in that little chamber. She was there.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but
I was confused by her presence. I thought she was I thought she was indisposed, or they were making it look like she was dead at the end of the season.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what happened with her, but I do know that at the end of Peacemaker, what's her name? Amanda Waller is kind of laying low, right? She's a fugitive now. Her daughter outed her, and so now she's kind of laying low. So I don't know I'm just confused as to where this movie lies.
I wonder if it's just like, the government. I'm making up stuff in my brain to make it make sense, but like if like the government was like, all right, we know you do all these terrible things, but honestly, you're the only one that can deal with these crazy superhero stuff. So just keep doing your thing, but we're watching you. Kind of. I don't know. I just feel like the DC universe doesn't know what its universe and timeline is supposed to be. And so even, you got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saying things like, this is the new era of the DCEU. So it's almost like they're telling you, forget about what's been happening.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, none of that stuff matters anymore. This is the new stuff we're bringing to you. And
they don't care, so why should I?
Multiverse. That's, it's weird because Marvel is really helping the Justice League or just DCEU find their footing, because Marvel's opening the opportunity and the option for audience members to understand what multiverse is. So when they start doing that for the DCEU, it's almost like our brains are going to start going, Oh, okay, yeah. Well, there's a little shift. All right,
Yeah,
everybody's
and
different now. Cool.
Warner Brothers and DC are sitting there going, "Yes, we meant to do that. That's
Exactly.
right, multiverse.
That
That's
was
right,
our
Marvel.
plan all along.
We were thinking of that the whole time. That's the ticket."
But also, I think the JSA in the comics is like the original superhero group, you know, whereas Justice
Why
League
haven't we
came
heard from
a
them
long time
before?
afterwards. Well, in the comics, that's what the case
Oh.
is, that they were made first, but not in the movies. But to me, it kind of makes sense that the Justice League is this league of their own. They've got Superman, so you can't tell them what to do at this point. Whereas, you know, what does Amanda Waller do when she can't have a Suicide Squad anymore? She has to have regular superheroes that work for the government. So let's just hire these guys and tell them what to do, because I can't tell Superman what to do, although I can ask him for favors. Hint, hint, future talk about other stuff. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
they're kind of going in this direction of, like, we have the JSA because these are the guys who are okay with working with the government.
I guess.
Civil
I
War.
don't-
JSA versus Justice League. Make it
Amanda
happen.
Waller is just the Wong of the. Just like anytime we need to tie in something, just bring in Wong. You know, just bring in Amanda Waller. It has something to do with it. Don't ask too many questions. You know,
I just
that's
want
what
them
it
to
feels
put.
like.
I want to see Samuel
With her.
Jackson and Amanda Waller just in the same room together, just like going back and forth arguing about something. I don't care what. Just let them be in the same room and argue with each other.
Well, I
about
think
something.
another thing that confuses me about her presence here is, like, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought she was just in charge of the Task Force X. So I thought she was just in charge of, like, the bad guys. You know, I had no idea she was also overwatching, like, these other superhero teams as well.
Is the Suicide Squad a Task Force X? I thought they were just called Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad is Task Force X. Yeah, that's just another. The official
Ah.
name is Task Force X.
Then this is their
Unless
Task
I'm
Force
wrong.
Z. I don't know. I mean,
I'm wondering if we have listeners just screaming into their phones right now. Probably.
sure.
I don't know. I'm sure they are. But
They're
that
like,
was my understanding, was that Task Force X was her taking these bad guys that are held in prison and sending them on these missions.
yeah,
That's
well,
what I
now-
thought that was.
Luckily, now she's got control over two different types
So
of
now
groups.
she's in charge of the Justice Society.
Maybe the difference is that now she can't blow up these guys' heads because these guys are supposedly for good, you know. Hawkman's pretty cool. Personally, I thought the introduction to Hawkman was pretty awesome, the way they showed us him. He's like some billionaire that lives in Louisiana. I was like,
He's
what?
Professor X. Why is he Professor X?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He lives in a mansion with the thing, and the jet comes out of the,
The jet.
ground.
Yep. the
Ted,
jet.
Ted,
It looks like X-Men. Like, what the fuck?
That's
Ted
right.
literally turns to me in the theater, goes,
Yeah.
it's X-Men. This is
It's
Professor
X-Men.
X's house.
It's
And I
X-Men.
go, oh yeah. And then the jet comes out. We're like, oh yeah,
It totally.
it's totally X-Men. What the heck?
Looks like the same location.
Oh man. But also he kind of has like his fashion style kind of gives me like a Wakanda kind of vibe to it. I was like, damn, like for half a second he could have been Black Panther, but he's not. He's Hawkman, baby. He's got a cool ass hammer sort of thing. Sledge with spikes. What do you call that? I don't even know what you call that.
Not a mace. Is it a mace?
Is it a mace?
That's a mace. Yeah.
It's a mace, a spiky old mace.
Yeah.
Cool
I
powers.
I just don't know where these guys fall as far as, like,
Yeah.
relevance in the stories of everything. Like, okay, these guys seems like they've been around forever. Why
Yeah.
haven't I seen them before?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like to me though, like they were straight and to the point on who these heroes were, but the only problem was that they didn't flesh them out more as the scenes went on. You know, they were like, this is Hawkman. He's a really badass dude who doesn't take no for an answer, and he fights and kicks your ass. This is Dr. Fate. He's mysterious, and he can look into the future, and he's super wise. So he's your Gandalf. Then you got these two lover kids, teenagers, that might hit on each other, but then they don't.
Yeah, that's a whole other. I will say,
leftovers. Yeah.
I do appreciate the efficiency, the economic nature of the introduction, though. This is this guy. This is what he does. This is what he does. This is who this person is. All right, let's go. Like, I do appreciate that. Like, okay, we're gonna be sitting here with these guys, and we only got so much screen time to share with, you know, Black Adam himself. You know, okay, let's just do this. Let's just get right into it. This is what this guy does. This is what this person does. Whatever. All right.
Also,
let's go.
may I just add that the JSA supposedly has like way more members than like these 4 to 5 guys. They had so many more, so they only had so much time to be like, this is who they are. That's the point. Let's move on so we can talk about Black Adam, because we know you're here for him. You know, you're not really here for the JSA the whole time.
Go ahead, Ted.
I appreciated that, and at the same time, I felt that was a bit of a detriment to them as characters and caring about them. But also, I think Atom Smasher has a line about when he's talking to Cyclone about, like we're getting called up to the big leagues, or we're finally part of this. So it made it seem like they were being rotated in to these spots, and it's kind of like a trial situation.
Right. I did get that feeling too. Yeah, that's that part again. I like that they give you just enough information for you to go, okay, got it. These guys, and it was enough for me to go, okay, this seems to be a rotating team. The members come in and out, because they say things like, who do we got this time? Or, all right, we haven't seen him in a while. Oh, good to see him back. That kind of thing. I kind of got the, like when we like watching the Mission Impossible movies, like where they go through at the top of the movie, like who's going to be on the team in this movie. That's the kind of vibe I got. Like, oh, okay, he's back. Oh, okay, we haven't seen that person in a while. It was just that kind of vibe I got. Mm-hmm. So, but that instantly gave me it gave me a lot of information with very little. So in that sense, that scene, I appreciated, again, just the effectiveness of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, moving on to our next scene here, we got Black Adam wakes up in Adriana's household and with her son, Amon. Amon geeks out about superheroes to Black Adam while Black Adam tries to learn about the new age that he's in. Breaking through walls and flying outside to look at this large champion statue, he realizes that Amon tried to chase after him, and now he and his mother are being threatened by Intergang. Black Adam proceeds to beat the hell out of them. So, I think one thing that's always in common with this movie that I always like is just him beating the hell out of people. Whenever he does it, I'm like, cool, that's awesome. And I do like that, when he first wakes up and he like breaks through that first wall, he sees the TV playing Clint Eastwood's movie with like all the cowboy stuff. And then they kind of do a callback to that when he's fighting Intergang in the very next scene. So it's like he's learning, I guess, from this current day and age. So it's good to know we've got a smart guy who's just very serious and doesn't really like to mess around. He likes to just kill and move on. Raul, what did you think about all this so far?
I thought, I like what you were saying about the kind of he sees this on TV and then he kind of applies it and stuff like that. I like that little shootout kind of allusion to like the Western films and stuff like that. Again, this is where we start seeing the him bursting through walls a bunch of times, right? And then it starts, kind of doing that thing again, and like I
first
said,
time though, did you laugh the first time? I know I did, but
I did laugh the first. Well, like I said, it was funny. It was funny at first, then it stopped being funny, then it became funny again. But I don't, like I said, I don't think that was their intention. But
can I just add that the all the cameo, like little Easter eggs in Amon's bedroom were just all DC superhero stuff, and they kept on blocking all the heroes' faces because they wanted you to focus on Black Adam or something. But I saw that there was a Shazam statue right there, and Black Adam didn't say anything about it. He wasn't like
Shazam.
Oh,
that would have been hilarious if he said it.
That would have been
whole body for a second. Oh wait, Shazam!
The whole house just comes down because they got hit by lightning. Oh man, Amon gets killed.
That would have been great. I hated Amon.
I think if I remember correctly, I remember they were talking about like, how do we get him to say Shazam? And I heard you, Ted, going, hey, what's something that sounds like Bazam? And Black Adam goes, no, you got me. Oh, no. Oh, man. But I think the whole taking it in that he's in this new day and age was really cool. And to me, like, something that I kept on pondering was like, what is the story now? Like, what does he want to do now that he's out here? Like, what is the whole purpose of him being here? Which, by the end of the movie, we figure that out. But I feel like at this moment, there wasn't really anywhere that we were going with it. He was just awake. That's all it was. And he was just scoping the scene to see what's going on around here.
That's how I felt for a lot of the plot of this movie before we kind of realized where it takes a while before we realize, oh, okay, this is what we're heading to. This is what we're heading towards. Because yeah, with this scene and a lot of other scenes following it, I'm like, okay, where are we going here? What's Black Adam doing? Okay, he's awake now. Great. JSA are coming. He's flying around, he's staring at this statue. It's just a lot of like me just kind of watching, going like, all right, waiting for the next thing to happen, because there's nothing being given to me right now in this moment in time that's indicating where anything is going. Does that make any sense? I mean,
yeah, no, that's the thing about, we go back to the writing. Like they didn't give us his real goal yet. Like he doesn't know what he wants to do, so you're leaving the audience in the dark as well, because now we're like, okay, one of the most powerful guys on the planet is just happens to be awake and mad about everything, so what do we do now,
And you see him staring at the statue. It's like all this stuff. I'm just like, okay, now what? And we see him staring at the statue. Now, like if we had talked about, like if we had seen what had happened to him earlier in the flashback, we would at least be spending less time thinking, okay, what's happening? And more time thinking, oh, yeah, he's pondering about his son because he knows his, right? Because for those scenes when he's just staring at the statue, like I said, I'm like, what's happening?
Right. But also it's like, when the writing fails, the fun turning off your brain part turns on, right? Where they're like, it's fun moments with the little boy geeking out about superheroes to Black Adam. Whereas Black Adam's is just like, I don't give a crap about any about this. This is all dumb. I don't know why we're talking about this. Him breaking through the wall instead of going through doors. Like that was a cool introduction. Him destroying the TV and the uncle being funny, responding to him like, don't kill me, is like, oh, that's cool too. The cowboy shootout with the zapping. Like there were just fun moments that were trying to make up for the bad writing. And again, it's one of the reasons why I was like, I had a fun time seeing those moments, but I still agree, the writing was just not there.
And Ted, I was rolling my eyes at a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, you were.
So this is very, like we were talking, it felt so much like Shazam, and this kid is just saying all this stuff. And then also on top of it, The Rock is completely Americanized as soon as he's out of this thing. It's a little jarring.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's so quick to be like, what? I don't understand American culture, but I speak it. Yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
it's and obviously in a lot of these movies that are action based in other countries, people will just speak English so that they don't have to use subtitles,
right? Which
I get, but it was a little. It felt a little just, this is the part where he's, fish out of water. And then I actually think this is where I left to go to the bathroom for about 20 minutes. And I came back and I was like, didn't miss the thing. Didn't miss a thing. I could tell. And then I asked Kevin, did I miss anything? He was like, yeah, it was the stuff that would have made you really like this movie. And I was like, I missed nothing.
I doubt that. Yeah.
Well, no, I think you left a little later because you got to see the first fight scene between the JSA and Black Adam.
Oh, this was before that? Okay.
Yeah, this was right before that. But as soon as that fight scene ended, that's when you went up to go to the bathroom. It was just the chase scene. You missed the chase scene.
Great time to go to a bathroom in an action movie right after a big fight scene.
The only thing that would have made this perfect for you is that one scene you missed. I think it is interesting though to see the comparison with Shazam and his friend who's I'm forgetting the kid's name from Shazam who's trying to help him be a superhero. I think it was like Jimmy or Timmy or something like that. Where it's like you see Shazam's storyline where he's like, oh, dude, you could be a superhero. Let's do it. And then they were like, yeah, I'm excited. Let's be a superhero. And then you look at Black Adam and he's like, what? No, I don't want to do that. I just want to kill people and get everybody out of my way. And so they were trying to show us the comparisons between the two. But I feel like even then it just felt like something where it's like you didn't really need to do that. Just seeing him murder people is enough to me to know the difference between the two. You almost didn't need the teenage kid doing anything really, except maybe the only plot point for him is just the idea of, oh, this kid reminds me of my son, and he's so hopeful, and that's the only thing that's keeping me going now.
Well, they didn't really. If they even leaned into that, they didn't even seem to lean into that angle all that much. The thing that they really seemed to use the kid the most for was just as a simple plot device for getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
And if they had
That's
at
the
least,
part I missed.
that's a he was kidnapped, and for me that's kind of the only function he serves. If there was any other function besides that, for example, the whole thing about reminding Black Adam of his own son, they didn't really capitalize on that.
It's true.
They really give no.
They could have, oh, you're
totally
could have my son,
nothing. He didn't say anything like that. You remind me of somebody I know, or I think.
No, that's true. There was parts though where like the teenager was like talking about Kondak and was like, "Oh, look at my people, they're still suffering. You're the hero," and he's like, "No, dude, I'm not the hero." So like there was like something there of like to remind him of like what his next goal could be, but he's like, "No, dude, that's not me. Like that's not what I do. You're not my son. You don't know. That's dumb." But it was nice to see that like he would still stand up for his people when he sees the teenage son and his mother getting attacked by Intergang. What a terrible name. I'm sorry. Intergang is such a bad name.
Intergang. This is who came up with this?
I'm just picturing like some cool thugs being like, "Hey gangs, you guys all here to hang out?" Like they're just hanging out in the alleyways trying to beat people up. Like that's what the gangs are? Like, I don't know.
Intergang. An international gang.
That's just as bad as Rampage. That's so bad.
I'm trying to give it something. I have no idea.
Oh man. Well, moving on here, you guys. We got the JSA arrives in time to stop Adam from doing further destruction to the city and Intergang's troops. A huge battle ensues between Black Adam and the JSA, with Adam being just strong enough to escape their grasp. I thought the whole fight sequence was badass, except one thing I think we've all agreed on is there's way too much slow motion in these fight sequences. They put in almost every single one. Like the introduction to Black Adam, it was cool the first time when you see him in slow motion watching everything and just deflecting bullets. I was like, okay, cool. But then you do it again, and then again, and then again, and I'm like, it stops being cool after the third time, you know what I mean? But what did you guys think about all the battles? What are you thinking?
I think we should break down each character of the JSA.
It's a good idea.
Because
in the fight sequence, or
in this fight sequence especially, is where we finally get to see them shine. We had the setup where he's like, "I get big," and she's like, "I twirl" or something. I wind.
Earth, wind, fire, go planet. They're definitely Captain Planet in disguise.
Cyclone and Atom Smasher for me were like the just tacked on, just supposed to be funny and just were not. And she's riding a bike up to the Hawk Mansion, and it's like she has an IQ of 166, and she's riding a bicycle and wearing this black and white.
What an idiot! She should be driving a car.
Idiot, clearly
doesn't have a Tesla. That can't be that smart. I mean, saving the environment. Come on, man.
I'm Hawkman, and just trust it. I'm inexplicably insanely rich. It's just like, okay.
Well, okay. What did you think of Hawkman's abilities when he's fighting Black Adam? Like, what do you think of him?
I thought that the mask looked a little ridiculous on him. I have to be upfront with that. When he's trying to be serious and have these, like, I felt like that he can do the helmet at will. He
like moves his head forward, kind of thing.
He's trying to yell at Black Adam. Like, come on, man! And he's just got this. Actually, like screen grabbing, here. I don't know if I can share my screen, but I'm gonna try. Oh, you've disabled it.
Oh yeah, sorry, because we're sharing all the sounds.
Yes. Okay. Well, it looks a little bit.
That's okay. It's a podcast anyway, so no one else can see it. It's
right. Okay.
Probably better not to share screen than just go ahead. But describe what you're looking at.
I'm looking at a man trying to be serious with a giant beak. Aldous Hodge does a great job. He's a great actor. I thought he was a little bit one note. He was just like, "We gotta stop this guy," because, and it's just okay. His wings looked cool. I mean, this is where the CGI really shines, is in Dr. Fate, and in these scenes in particular. I would say is like the fun and games part of the movie. And yeah, this was cool. Like, I like seeing the powers. Cyclone looked friggin' ridiculous every time, and they had to slow her down into slow motion so you could see what the hell she was doing.
Right, but they did it every time she showed up.
I will say the first time I saw her doing her magic dance flow thing, I was like, that's so silly. Like, that looks really silly. But after a while, I feel like she was probably the only character where it was okay if they did slow motion with her. Because I was like, I need to see what is she trying to do right now? Like, other than just flip around in a circle over and over. So after a while, she kind of grew on me. But bro, what's up?
It was the reverse for me. Like the first time I saw her, I was like, oh, this is cool because we're getting to see her for the first time. So yeah, show me her doing the slow motion thing. But then after we kept seeing, they still kept doing the slow motion. It's like, okay, I get it. I get what she's doing now. The first couple times we saw her in slow motion, okay, cool. Just so I could get the full picture of how her power set works. Great. But then they kept doing it. So I didn't need to see it anymore after that. And
I will say no, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was going to jump over to Hawkman if you still wanted to talk about Cyclone.
Okay. I was just going to say, I did love that she had this, like the power to just grab random objects with all her wind and just throw them and chuck them at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of speed and force that those items had whenever they would hit, man, it just felt so satisfying watching those things. So yeah, like there were parts of her that just felt so ridiculous. But I felt like it was a little balanced out by the fact that she did have badass attacks. So I was like, all right, I let it slide. Yeah, her power set was pretty cool, other than the dancing in a circle. Like, I do want to see her show up at a rave at some point. or otherwise, it's a missed opportunity. But go ahead, what were you going to say about Hawkman?
No, I was just jumping back to Hawkman. I actually I thought it was going to, because I've seen the posters and even in the trailers and stuff of Hawkman and his getup, and I thought I was going to hate it so much, and it does look a little ridiculous, but for some reason for me, in the context of the movie and watching him like in the battle scenes, I don't know, it just kind of, that concern went away. I went with it, it's ridiculous. Anytime they're not fighting, like when the battle is over and he's just standing there talking and he's still got the get up on, I'm like, okay, this is a little ridiculous. I don't know why. It's like when he's just standing and talking, I want him to remove the helmet.
Exactly.
But when he's fighting, it looks cool, just in the midst of all the battles and all that stuff. And then another thing about Hawkman I was going to say is that he has this intensity that's really cool at the beginning. It's like, oh my God, this guy means business. Like, yeah, he definitely, for me, there was a little moment of like, okay, Black Adam, watch out, because this guy doesn't look like he's going to stop. He's not going to quit.
Would you say he has a very Sam Wilson kind of vibe to him too? Like Captain America Sam Wilson?
Not really. He's like Sam Wilson. This Sam Wilson isn't as angry as this guy.
That's a good point.
This guy has like, I don't know. He's got like, he's so angry all the time and so intense.
You would think with all the millions and billions of dollars he seems to have, money will not buy you happiness.
Hey man, talk to Batman. I don't know about that.
That's the thing is like at first when we were first introduced to him, I'm like, okay, this is great. He's got this intensity. Okay, like watch out, Black Adam. Like this guy's, could be formidable.
Yeah.
But then like that was his whole thing for the rest of the movie. He's just an angry guy all the time.
I felt so bad for him, especially as soon as he starts the fight with Black Adam, where he's like, oh, I'm gonna hit you with my mace, and then Black Adam's just like, boom, catches it, throws him, punches him to the wall. It's like, dude, you're just a bird to him. Like that's all you are.
He's just
I feel so bad. He looks so cool. He fights so cool. He's so badass and tough.
He gets his ass handed to him over again.
Instantly, all his badassness disappears because Black Adam just goes, no thanks. Like just
later
little
on
slap.
in the movie, a guy, the villain, grabs him by the wings, and he's just like a turtle, like on its back. Like,
oh man.
It's just like, what do I do?
Oh man. They grabbed my wings again. I can't do anything now.
I think even Black Adam mocks him in a line. It was in the trailer. I didn't hear it in the movie where he's like, I'm just going to how about I tear your little wings off instead? Getting mocked the whole time and getting his ass. And no wonder he's angry.
No wonder he's so angry. Well, that's the thing.
I fight.
I thought this was going to be, I thought like we were introduced to him this way and then we would get to see other sides of him as the movie went on. But he just carried that whole just gnashing his teeth and just that kind of grit the whole way through. I'm like, Jesus, this guy, like you said, Ted, one-dimensional. Like he becomes one-dimensional because we don't see any other sides of him show up after that.
Let me play devil's
I
advocate.
Sad about Dr. Fate. You know?
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah,
I was going to
okay.
play devil's advocate and say his friendship with Dr. Fate was something that was there, but it just felt so much more subtle that it didn't really... I felt like it wasn't like a bigger thing that he could have gone into. Like, he should have, is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they could have fleshed that out even more. But he was just... you know what? It felt like he's Wolverine. He's Wolverine, but as Hawkman.
Yeah,
and just no claws in his hands. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like it was interesting that that's kind of the way he approached it, and there was this two-dimensional thing. But also, I want to go back to something you said, Raul, which was about the mask. How like he always kept it on, and he only took it off when it was time to talk to people like outside of the fight. The opposite happens with Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate literally takes his mask off almost every
Constantly.
goddamn time in the battle. Let me just say, Dr. Fate is probably my favorite JSA member. He's the best one out of all
he's
by
great.
far. But like anytime he would take off his mask while he's talking, I couldn't help but feel like he's just doing this because he's Pierce Brosnan and he needs camera screen time. You know, like they need to show his face because that man makes money, you know? Like, it didn't feel like there was a reason for him to really take that mask off and just be holding it around in the middle of battle. Like, dude, put it on. You're still fighting Black Adam. What are you doing? But I will say his powers were awesome. They were incredible. And for any of you listeners out there who are like, oh, Doctor Strange did it first. He may have done it first in the movies, but Dr. Fate was the first version
He's a
of those two
precursor.
wizards.
Yeah.
He was the first of his kind, and I think the reason Pierce Brosnan decided to do Dr. Fate was for two reasons. One was because in interviews he's talked about money. Yeah, okay, three reasons. Money. Number two, in interviews he was like, oh, you know, I saw Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, and when the producers told me that this is like an iteration of him, but cooler in the DCEU, he was like, yeah, I like that challenge. Let's do it. But I think reason number three is because of the spoiler alert, he dies in the end. So, you know, you only get to stick around for one movie for the DCEU and get the hell out of there before anything else goes wrong, you know? So he did his job and he got the hell out of there.
I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense, though, that he'd have to show his face as much as possible. I mean, the guy's pushing 70. You know, so it's like, you know, that you're going to get a lot of people like, is he really in the suit? Well, no, here, look, see, he's got the helmet off. See, he's really
look
in the
how
suit.
buff he is. He was really buffed out. Like, I was like, damn, is that CGI?
I think it was.
It was totally CGI. There's no way Pierce Brosnan worked out that hard.
Yeah, no way.
This movie really fooled me. He really is in the suit.
The suit looked
The suit
great.
looked great.
His suit in particular.
It does look great.
Really
It does
awesome.
look great.
Yeah.
And also just his powers, just like floating around doing all this cool like mystical arm waving stuff. I was like, you know, even though this movie is cheesy, this is badass. Like, this looks so cool. And the visual effects, man, we got to give props to those guys because they nailed it for this character.
I was a little confused about what his powers are, and obviously with a wizard magician, it's sort of just whatever they want.
Yeah, pretty
A
much.
lot of multiplying.
A lot of multiplying.
Yeah, he multiplied a lot.
At one point, he sent Black Adam into a version of Kahndaq that was his time period.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be like a flashback thing now, and then The Rock was just going to go down and see his past self interacting with his kid or something like that. Like, I thought that was going to be one of those flesh out the scenes things.
Yeah.
And then instead, Black Adam just gets punched out by Hawkman.
Just like I think that was meant to be just like an illusion. You know, he wasn't really turning back time, but he was just showing an illusion of what Kahndaq used to look like.
Dr. Fate has the Infinity
ago.
Stones, he has the Reality Stone, and he has the Time Stone because he can see into the future and then change reality and make it all an illusion. That's pretty cool. I also I will mention this one thing, and we got to move on to our next thing here, is that we got to talk about Atom Smasher too.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about Atom Smasher?
When they talked about don't touch Dr. Fate's mask because it'll make your brain go crazy. I was like, that's kind of interesting that they mentioned that, and then later on in the story, someone's gonna touch it, and you're like, wait, why doesn't his brain explode? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Was it a lie? Were you lying to me? You know? But anyways, back to Atom Smasher. I think something I told you guys when we went to watch the movie was I like the idea that Atom Smasher needs to eat food because of his metabolism and stuff like that. Very similar to the Flash and how his metabolism is very fast and whatever, but he needs food to nourish himself so that his body can grow better and he can hold it longer. It was a cool way to differentiate himself from, Ant-Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I don't know, it kind of it made sense to me by the end why he was pudgy. Because when I first saw him, I was like, they're going to get a pudgy dude like this, like to be a superhero?
He didn't have to work out, yeah.
Yeah, everybody else is so buff and ready to go, and this dude's just like eating potato chips. Like, what are you doing? But it made sense by the end. And also, his punch down, like on Black Adam, like when he's getting all huge and whatever, I was like, damn, so badass. But I also like the fact that he's a little bit of Peter Parker from like Civil War, where like he still makes mistakes. He accidentally crushes things when the battle's over, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, everybody." Like, all right, he's still a newbie.
He's
pass.
giving off a very strong "I'm sorry, Mr. Stark" vibe.
Very much so. Yeah.
I thought a lot of his jokes felt kind of flat, though. That was my only thing with him.
I can't remember any of them.
Yeah.
They're not memorable.
No.
It's just
stuff like in the ship,
which
is inexplicably gigantic on the inside. The Hawk ship, and then the detached thing, like the head of the
language
comes off. That's what it looked
like. Yes, it's a very.
There were some scenes in there where he was trying to drill up some sort of comedic relief, and I was just like, this is not working for me. But I liked his presence when he was big.
I did too. I like his power set and all that, but I'm not crazy about what it seemed like they were trying to do with him and Cyclone. Like, it was so broadcasted. As soon as when they were introducing the team and they bring up both of them, and I'm like, all right, they're totally going to try and do some sort of romantic kind of thing. And they kind of do, but they never really go there. And so what are you doing, guys?
Do you think they're saving that for the next movie? If there is a next movie?
Why would
we don't see them again.
Yeah, I don't.
That's it. You just never see the romance ever flourish. We're done with those guys.
We got to get some new JSA members in here. You guys.
There's this guy, and then there's this girl, and they're around the same age. I guess we got to make him kind of be romantic interest.
She was too smart for him. I feel so bad for him because he was a charismatic character, but like he just wasn't memorable, or I don't know. If I was her, I think she made the right choice in just being like, I'm too smart for you. Bye, I'm out.
Yeah.
But also, was it just me, or did his mask, when he finally puts it on, it's just blue Deadpool?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That.
Yeah.
I saw a meme. This was like right after the trailers first started coming out. I saw a meme. It was like a picture of Atom Smasher, and the meme goes, "This dude makes one joke. The Deadpool comparisons won't ever stop."
It's true. It's super true. But why don't we move on to our next scene here, you guys? We got the JSA explains to Adriana that Adam was not a savior in his time, but instead a madman who was imprisoned rather than entombed. The JSA and Adriana work together to talk down Black Adam, but it only leads to more violence. Black Adam semi-agrees to work alongside them. Sort of. But while they're distracted, Amon, who's holding the Eternium crown, is abducted by Intergang. Black Adam chases after them with the help of the JSA. Unfortunately, they fail to catch Ishmael, who turns out to be, spoiler alert, the leader of the Intergang? Whoa! Didn't see that coming. Oh my god! Luckily for Black Adam and the JSA, Amon hid the crown at their house. So Ted was definitely not here for this scene, but he gets the gist.
I was taking a shit.
It was very good, very good. That deserves an applause. That's do I have my applause? Ooh. Oh, you know what? You just get an ooh.
That's all right.
That's good. I was about to say, Raul and I were sitting in the theater going, "Damn, Ted's been gone for a long time."
Did he just leave?
Yeah, I was like, "Is he okay?"
we almost timed the scene based on your poop, so it was a very long scene. man.
It was a very long shit as well.
Black Adam, like, he was just flying from ship to ship trying to find Amon, being like, I gotta find the kid. And, it was nice to see that, the JSA was trying to be friends with him. But, like, it was cool to see also just the comparison between the JSA's way of trying to solve things and Black Adam's way of solving things. He's like, let me just throw them all in the air. And Hawkman's like, no, let me save them. You can't keep doing this, dude. Come on. But at the end of the day, they miss Amon. But, every time I just see Hawkman go, that's it, buddy. I'm going to fight you again. I'm over here like, oh, please, no, don't do it, man. Don't do it. I'm going to hit you. No, don't do it so hard. Boom. Just gets punched across the room. Like,
have you not learned anything the first time? And you even, what's it? Dr. Fate, even he knows. He's like, here we go.
Yeah. He's like teleporting to different chairs because he doesn't want to be part of the fight.
I'm going to sit over here. Like, he knows. Even he knows is ridiculous.
But it was smart of the teenage kid, Amon, to hide the crown in the room as he was escaping from Intergang the first time.
Every time I hate that name so much.
It's very bad.
Every time I hear it, Intergang. Oh, I just
What kind of gang are we? An international.
That's so, come on.
Genius.
Try a little harder, guys.
God.
Oh, man. But, I think the chase scene, like, it's weird. Ever since I've seen Boba Fett, like the series on Disney Plus, they had a chase scene in, I think, episode 3 or 4. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the Vespas.
The worst Vespa chase scene I've ever seen in Star Wars, possibly in my life in Hollywood, anything ever made. Anytime I see a chase scene, I compare it to that, and I'm like, if it's better than that, I'm okay with it.
It's a very low bar.
It's a very low bar. So, I thought this chase scene was just fine. It was awesome. It was cool. And when he messes up and when Black Adam realizes he didn't save the teenage kid, I'm like, okay, it makes sense that he's just going to be like, screw you, JSA. I don't want to work together now. What about you guys? What did you think of this?
I like that. I think there's something in this scene that shows up, but really it's like in the whole movie in general, there is something there that they're trying to go with this whole notion of like killing people versus like, it's like the whole Daredevil versus Punisher type thing, right? Is the whole thing they're trying to bring up this idea, well, which is better? Like, to stop these guys by killing them, or no, they should stand trial, like how the JSA believes. And I think they were trying to go for something there, but I feel like that whole conversation got lost in all the CGI-ness and all the craziness of the movie. I feel like they had an opportunity to kind of capitalize on that a little bit and touch on that a little bit more, but it just got lost with all the fluff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Black Adam seemed to learn no lessons by the end. Literally rips a guy and
yeah, exactly.
His whole point is just kill anybody that gets in my way of hurting my friends at this point. And don't worry about the consequences that come after.
And the people of Kondak are also backing up this whole thing. They're like, well, he got shit done. I don't know. That was a problem.
I mean,
now
like,
we don't have anymore, so.
Well, I was gonna say, is he wrong? Like, if I knew we were being enslaved right now, and some guy just came up, just started murdering all the baddies that we hated, I'd be like, okay, yeah, cool. I've been a slave for like my whole life. Thank you. That's awesome.
I will say there is an attempt to try and I feel like I did pick up on this, like the allegory for like present day, like how America deals with, international relationships in other countries and how we just go in, and I can't remember what the scene was. I think it was the girl, I can't remember her name, but she was talking to Hawkman, and like this whole conversation came up of, this is not your country, how,
like,
what makes you think
guys?
You can just come? Exactly. Where were you when this all went down? Where were you that we've been essentially enslaved for decades and decades? Why do you show up now? And so I did think that was interesting, and like kind of holding up a mirror to, our society and how we deal with, America, in going to other countries and kind of instilling their will on other countries. And it's like, this isn't your country. You don't get a say here. Like, why do you think you can just show up and tell us how to do our things? So
Yeah, it's also interesting because the JSA, like, I guess their whole point is to help save the world, kind of stuff. But really, their initial reaction was, "Oh boy, this guy's gonna destroy the whole planet. America could be gone tomorrow." So it's like it was more about America than it was for the planet.
They
Which
must
kinda,
protect the establishment. You know, it's very like we have to protect the status quo. And they kind of represent like imperialism as well, because like if they're defending the guys that are keeping these people enslaved, then really it's an arm of them, you know. And so like if you're coming to the aid of the bad guys, then it's an argument that gets brought up, and I don't think anything really comes of it, other than like, well, that was it, you know, those people are dead, so let's move on. But
isn't it crazy?
I don't think they're gonna, you know, the good guys are basically the bad guys to these people. You know, it's interesting.
It's kind of crazy that it even makes us talk about this. It's almost like Black Adam is secretly genius writing. Genius! Oh, wait, can I also just say the scene where I keep wanting to say Black Hawk, and I'm like, that's incorrect. Very incorrect.
There's a reason he's not called Black Hawk.
Yeah, for real. We do not use that name. Or Black Falcon for Sam Wilson. Oh, we've seen too many scenes about that. All right, but like when Hawkman, he's like, "We're superheroes. We don't kill people," and then the music goes bum 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 bum, and then Dwayne the Rock Johnson goes, "Well, I do." It's just like, oh man, that was so 2005. Like that's to me, like if it wasn't clear that there's like this fight between the two, like their viewpoints, like that's the only clear point of view right there.
Right.
Like, you think this way? Well, I think this way. Bum 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 bum. Yeah. Moving on now. Chase scene. Let's go do that now. They don't sit on it long enough for us to really think about it and have this conversation that could have been had a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Yeah. But overall.
Can I just say really quick? I do like the joke that they carry over about the catchphrases, because I do like the part where he like threw the guy and he's like, "Tell him that the man in black." He's like, "Oh, let me get it in really quick." I do like that they continue that.
Ted was pooping during that scene. He doesn't remember.
Oh, you didn't see that?
No, he didn't see that scene. He was pooping.
I think you would have chuckled. I think you would have chuckled at that part, Ted.
And they did it. You know, there is like the magic of three. You know, every time you make that joke, you got to do it 3 times at least. So when they save it for the end, it was like, okay.
You knew he was coming back at the end. You knew he was finally going to get it right at the very end, like kill the big boss.
Very Terminator 2 with, you know, cool.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah. Well, wait, what was the other thing that he said to him, though? He was like, "You got it, dude." Her fist bump. I can't remember. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
It's okay. It's whatever.
That's all I remember is hasta la vista.
He tries to teach him something, and he tries to learn it, but
chill out. He's like, "Chill out, dickwad," or something like that.
All right, well, let's move on to our next scene here. We got what do we have here? Adam, Adriana, and the JSA intend to use the crown to trade for Aman. They reach Ishmael, who reveals that he is the last descendant of King Ashtakatatan, and with waiting his rightful place in the throne, demands the crown, which Adriana willingly gives to save Aman's life. Ishmael betrays his part of the deal and shoots at Aman and Adam, trying to save Aman, loses control again, and destroys the hideout with his power, killing Ishmael. Okay, so that was a whole bunch of what. I think this is probably the only scene that to me took me by surprise, because Ishmael is like, I'm purposefully trying to get killed right now because I know that this is the only way for me to gain the powers of Sabak. But you know, I also thought the stakes were high in this scene. It was probably one of the only scenes that to me was like, oh shit, like I hope they kill the teenage son.
Yeah, right?
Just kill him, man. That kid, I think after that scene, after the chase scene, we didn't need him anymore. That was it. Like, we're good. We can move on.
No, they did. He has to do this. He has to
do the stupid hand thing.
Oh, man. To get the 30 extras.
So dumb.
That's all he needed to do, man.
That was such cheese. So much cheese.
Such cheese.
We'll get to that. But well,
they had this in this scene. They're like, nope, can't get to us, Black Adam. We made a force field of Ethereum.
that it felt very what's the name? Like Lex Luthor, Superman 1 kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Where it's like, aha, you've fallen for our trap. We have a shield that you can't break.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, 2D villain, what do we have to do?
Didn't the new Hellraiser do something like that too?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely did.
You can't get past my shield.
Not without our force field.
Yeah,
It was just so, it's so much evil 2D cartoon character kind of villain.
This was one of those scenes where it's like, oh, the twist, and it's like, oh, you mean to tell me that the sketchy guy is the main bad guy of this movie? What?
Oh, dude, I did not see that coming. Crazy.
And then when he destroys the whole place, you're like, well, he's not dead, obviously, because the movie's not done.
Yeah. I will say, one of my favorite things about that scene, though, was once Black Adam was like, "Ah!" and blowing up with lightning, all the JSA members were just, their training kicked in, and they're like, protect the civilians, and they all went in and like used their powers in a specific way to prevent the civilians from getting killed.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And I feel like it was just something that was looked over because we were just like trying to move on to the next scene. But like, hey, like it's badass, and I'm a nerd and I like anime. It makes me think of My Hero Academia, and that's something that they're trained to do in their school and whatever. And so when that scene happened, I was like, wow, they definitely went to school for all this stuff. That's so cool. It's just such an instinct. Yes,
I have
Ted.
a question. Is Hawkman, does he have special powers beyond his wingsuit? Or is that a wingsuit, or is that an extension of his powers?
I think he's literally
Is he immortal? Is he like a Bruce Wayne?
I think he's like a Bruce Wayne type. I think his power is that he's rich.
maybe his suit gives him the strength. Like the
I'm
mask.
I'm not well versed in the lore of DC as much as I am Marvel's, and I don't really know a lot about Hawkman except
Because Hawkman takes a beating and never a scratch on him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It must be some really good metal.
I think my brain kind of just assumed that like his metal is like powering his suit kind of thing.
Or is it maybe it's like the mace is like a magical mace or something?
Maybe that is too.
There's some magic involved with him. There has to be.
Yeah, because he was hitting Black Adam pretty hard too. Like there was some heavy punches that he threw in there.
They seem kind of equally matched, if not Black Adam more so. But like he's, a capable opponent.
Well, if that's the case, they never mention it in the movie. They never say anything about him having any other special abilities other than he's rich and he has this hawk suit.
Yeah, right.
It's made out of some type of metal we don't know of, but yeah.
Yeah, that was very magical, blah, blah, just glossed over.
Yeah.
It was Batman, Black Panther, and Thor combined into one.
Yeah,
that's what he was.
I did like when he did the thing and his mace became an axe. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
Yeah,
like that's another thing where it's like it made me more interested to see more of him later. Like if they wanted to do a Hawkman movie, I'd be down to watch it. I think I would love to see him get fleshed out way more and see what his background story is. How did he become a millionaire? That's crazy.
That's the thing is this is a Black Adam movie, but it's like it's kind of he has to share so much screen time and story with the Justice Society, and there's so many characters we have to introduce in this movie, and it's just like it's hard to balance who do you give the screen time to. So it's like sometimes it feels like a Black Adam movie, but sometimes it feels like a JSA movie, and it really kind of stumbles for me.
But you know what though?
If you take the JSA out of this equation, Black Adam kind of falls flat because he doesn't really have any motivation outside of getting summoned.
Right.
And then like what? So now he's summoned, and now he's like, what is he gonna do? Like just
go to find me. Yeah.
It's kind of weak. But...
Like it is nice that by the end of the movie he figures out like, oh, I want to protect Kahndaq and be its I guess semi-ruler. But as long as I'm here, it'll always be protected. That's my John Wayne impression. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. God damn it, Kevin! Your words today.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
John Wayne The Rock Johnson. He hates those pilgrims. That's just how that works. Wait. Go back. Say the thing you just said recently though, because I was about to say something else, and I just went off rail just now.
Who?
It was I think you, Raul.
What did I say?
You know what? Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Lost
It's all good. No worries.
Oh, where he's gonna become the savior of Kondak and all that, or
Oh no, it's okay. Let's move on. We'll move on here. If I remember, it'll be
back to the script.
Back to the scripts. What happened in our next scene here? Guilt-ridden, Adam flees to Acton's ruins while Hawkman follows suit. He reveals to the latter that legends of Kandak's champion have been told incorrectly. It was Adam's son, Hurut, who was granted the powers of Shazam and became Kandak's champion. Knowing that Hurut was invincible, Acton's assassins were instructed to execute Hurut's family, including Adam and Hurut's mother. When Hurut finds Adam in critical condition, he bestows the power of Shazam on him to save his life, believing that Adam will be the hero Kandak needs. Acton's assassins kill the now mortal Hurut, causing an enraged Adam to slaughter all the king's men and inadvertently bring destruction to Kandak. Subsequently, Adam is summoned by the Council of Wizards to the Rock of Eternity and imprisoned within. Can you imagine the wizards just being like, who the hell are you? You're not the guy we entrusted. Yeah. What the hell, man?
I leave for 5 minutes, and now this guy's got the powers of Shazam.
Doesn't he say something like, we made a mistake? I'm like, he didn't. The son reneged on the deal. Like,
it's like, damn it. Maybe their mistake was trusting him, the son, to give his powers like that. Why the hell did we trust this kid to do that?
I don't know. That's on them.
That is definitely on them.
The son is dying is supposed to be like a big, moving thing that just breaks him and causes him to just kill all these people. But it was like kind of unintentionally funny because it was like, Dad, give me the powers. It's suddenly out of nowhere, he just hit with a bow and arrow. It's like, what the fuck? Were these guys just waiting? Like, what is going?
Yeah, like the timing. The timing was almost comedic. Yeah.
That arrow just coming right on in, man. It was too much. I mean, like, in my mind, I was like, okay, so it was all a trap. They were trying to kill the parents because they knew that it would attract the champion to show up. But how did they know that the champion would power down?
Right.
That couldn't have been, like, part of the plan. They were probably just like, let's keep an eye on him, and if he wants to mess us all up afterwards, we're screwed. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Did you really think he was going to power down from that? That's crazy.
He's in kid mode. Shoot him.
Kill the child.
Yeah. And again, this would have been, I don't know, this would have been even more impactful, I think, if they hadn't ruined it in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Like they just, you knew this was, in fact, I think before, the night before we all watched it together, Luisa was like asking me, my wife, Luisa, she was like, so you guys are watching this Black Adam movie? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, do you know anything about Black Adam? I'm like, yeah, I think like his son dies and then he gets like vengeful and stuff. And like, I had already known that from the trailers and stuff. Like, so that's what I told her. And so then watching the movie, I'm like, oh no, is that not what happened? Why do I know that? How come that must have been in the trailers.
Yep.
It was an unnecessary misdirect,
Yeah.
I put it in the trailer.
Yeah. It's as they were explaining it, I was like, I know. And then this happened. I know. And then we know. Everybody here knows. What are you doing? Come on, man. Oh, man. But anyways, on to our next scene, because I'm pretty sure we've already talked about this part plenty. Yeah. Feeling incapable of becoming a true hero, Adam surrenders to the JSA, who take him to a Task Force X black site. Soon after, Fate sees an ominous premonition of Hawkman's impending death again. As the group returns to the city, they realize Ishmael intentionally made Adam kill him while he was wearing the crown of Sabak so that he could be reborn as the host of the demon Sabak himself, who then arises from the underworld to claim his throne. I'll say this, I grew up Catholic, and the thought of seeing Satan come to life in a movie does give me, like, goosebumps. And
Ay, Dios mío.
But yeah, I was like, ay, Dios mío, el Padre, el Espíritu Santo. But as soon as I saw, like, freaking devils, Beelzebub, and all these other people from the underworld,
Diablo.
I was like, yo, like, my goosebumps are, like, going up right now. This is crazy. Cool. My hair is lifted. They look so badass. Like, the design, whoever did the visuals for all these devil-like characters nailed it. Because it made me go, whoa. But other than that, the 2D, like, they're all just two-dimensional characters. Yeah. I'm the bad devil. I'm the other bad devil. We give you the power to be a bad devil. Now I'm Sabak, the third bad devil. It's like, all right, we get it. You guys are bad devils. Okay. But it does look pretty cool.
Is it crazy? I didn't like the CG on this character.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't.
Sabak himself, like
Sabak.
when he's when he's out in the daylight, like when he's in the daylight, it's like
what are you guys talking about then?
When he first goes to hell.
When he first goes to hell, yeah, and everything's
Satan,
because
actual Satan.
Because you know, like what they always say is like when you do CGI in the dark, it's a lot easier to hide all the shitty quality of it.
Yeah,
because there's less to look at, there's less lighting on it, so the focus isn't as heavily imprinted on the screen, but then again, when you see Sabak in the daylight, you're like, oh god, they should have worked on that a little bit more. But the concept was really cool. Like I thought the concept was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. No, for that scene when he was actually in the underworld or hell or wherever, that all looked cool. Yeah. I'm talking about like when he actually transforms into Sabak himself.
Yeah, he looks terrible. Oh yeah, Sabak, the villain in the third act was terrible. One thing I want to say before we move on, I guess when they go into hell, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like, oh, this was definitely made by like God-fearing Christians. Is that like it goes upside, like it goes into the underworld and they're all upside down like this at first, and then the camera writes itself. Dude, doesn't it do that? It's like the idea that hell is just upside down from us.
It's the upside down, yeah.
Dude, like I
Stranger Things,
I instantly just see my mom going, ooh, the moment you see all the devils and Satan and fire. I was like, man, this was literally made to scare Catholics and Christians.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Boycott this film.
Now, also, let me just say, I'm a bad Catholic. I don't go to church very often, but that shit is still ingrained in my brain when I see things like that. I get so triggered. I'm like, oh, shit.
It's just you carry it for the rest of your life.
I swear to God, after we left the movie theater, I was like, I should probably go to church this Sunday. How many weeks has it been? Jesus Christ.
It reminded me of Spawn back in the 90s. McFarlane. Yeah, because we do get a Satan down there, and he's like a dragon-looking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, this kind of reminds me of that. Because when I was a kid, I remember thinking, it's Satan! Awesome! I was into it.
Well, and if you think that was badass, our next scene... there's my burp. I'm so sorry, everybody. Our next scene, Sabak summons his Legion of Hell, clearly with his burp powers, to terrorize Kahndaq. But Aman, alongside Adriana and Kareem, rallies the people of Kahndaq to repel them. I'm just laughing about that now, but let me keep going. The JSA prepares to face Sabak in Octan's ruins, but fate creates a magical force field that forbids Hawkman, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher from entering and reveals that Hawkman's death can be avoided with his own sacrifice. Fate then fights Sabak alone, and at the same time uses an astral projection to release Atom. Sabak kills Fate, causing the force field to disappear and allowing the others to fight. All right, Ted, I know you're thinking about something. What do you got for me?
Okay, so there's the whole thing where we know that he's not telling Hawkman about his death, and then he tells him finally, and Hawkman's like, "Good, I've always wanted to die." Yes, great. And by the way, the vision that he sees happens anyways.
It happened just like he saw it. Yep.
It happens.
But does it happen? But it happens differently.
It's really Dr. Fate
language.
Yeah. You're gonna have a lot of editing to do, Kevin.
Very, very much so.
So the force field thing, really dumb looking. This is when Dr. Fate looked really his coolest, when he was doing all this stuff and simultaneously, using his powers. What I didn't like was when The Rock escapes in his skinny body with the face superimposed on it and kicks the crap out of all these guys.
Yes,
his weak body, like he's still OP. Yeah, and then he goes into this water.
OP, still.
He like drowned. He's like drowning. Like, why wouldn't you just say Shazam when you were in the thicket? Like the Shazam. Do they have to hear it? Like,
Yeah,
if you could just say
for some
Shazam
reason-
wherever. Like, why did you have to swim? You're clearly not gonna make it. Like,
Well, he didn't take his mask off until after he got into the water. I don't.
I
Why,
figured,
why didn't
yeah,
he?
you just needed
yeah,
to take it off.
rip it off and say it.
Take it off and say Shazam.
Also,
Fly up. What's this thing with the? Oh, is he gonna drown? I'm like, he did drown. He should have.
Yeah.
But like, instead, it's just like the water peaks in his mouth. Shazam.
also, so he doesn't have his powers now, right? He doesn't have his powers yet,
No.
but yet he still has this ability to just like ninja his way around and kick the shit out of these guys. Like, why is he still able to fight the way he fights?
His
Without
body is thousands of years old. I was amazed that when he said Shazam, he didn't like crumble. Like,
There were
Yeah.
multiple moments where he should have died in that sequence.
oh yeah.
And he just didn't.
But why is he?
Absolutely should've
But
drowned.
how cool was it, guys?
Yeah, take the Shazam powers away. How is he still a really good fighter? Like, you didn't see this before in the flashbacks.
To
Like,
me,
before
to
he
me,
got the powers bestowed upon him, like he wasn't like this badass fighter before.
I
Where
think
is
I
this
think it
coming
was
from?
it was the power of friendship that made him want to get
Ah,
out there.
yeah.
Well, so okay, that segues me into the idea that to me that scene, the reason why I enjoyed it was because of the editing. Like, yes, I was just saying earlier that the editing sucked, but this one scene, the editing was so cheese, and you
Oh,
hear Dr.
man.
Fate going, "The world is counting on you. You have two choices, Black Adam. You can either be the ruler of this world or its savior." Ba 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 ba. With him like fighting people, like da, da,
Zooming
da,
in
da.
on his face, looking like Tony Stark and everything.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all these like badass,
Inside
like
the helmet.
I'm the hero of this story. Like
Oh.
that to me, I was like, the only reason I'm letting this slide is because Dr. Fate is such a badass and he's making such a cool monologue right now. Like his speech is so badass. So I'll allow it, but also can we just acknowledge that when Black Adam is in the water, he's just floating there drowning. It was literally a callback to Superman for Man of Steel. When Henry Cavill's Man of Steel was happening and he's in the water after he saves all those people, I
I
was
did
like,
think about that. Yeah.
yeah, like there was like that little correlation. Although the difference is that Shazam or Black Adam didn't just save anybody. He just beat the shit out of all these dudes
He
and
did
then
the opposite.
drowned. Whereas
Yeah.
Henry Cavill's Superman just saved all these guys from a fire and then he fell thinking to himself, why did I save these people? Am I doing the right thing? This other guy's like, screw all these Intergang guys. Goddamn, or Task Force X guys. But also going back to the Dr. Fate looking into the future, seeing the death of Hawkeye. Dang it, Hawkman.
yeah.
Hawkman.
These universes are confusing me. The way I saw it was like he saw the future, he saw different possibilities of Hawkman getting killed and was like, okay, if I don't go in, I'll get, Hawkman will literally die that way. But if I do go in, Hawkman will use my helmet and fake that death so it looks like that's the same death. And so I was like, okay, that's the only way in my brain that made sense. But there was a part of me that did question, what was the point of him killing himself then? But Dr. Fate, there's always possibilities of fate, different changes of the future, man. But I do hope that the mask of Dr. Fate continues to move on to the next person because I want to see more of Dr. Fate as a character, like just that superpower, that superhero, because he was so badass, and you killed him in the first movie. That's such
I will say I didn't really get to talk a lot about Dr. Fate as much as I wanted to, but I really just want to say that I really liked Pierce Brosnan specifically in this movie as this character because I did feel like of all the actors in this movie, he did bring, like, other than The Rock, like he brings this kind of gravitas and a more groundedness to this movie that a lot of the other characters don't really bring, but because it's Pierce Brosnan, he's a veteran, he brings this gravity to the whole movie and kind of grounds a little bit more, when it's getting all kind of crazy. So I do appreciate that about Pierce Brosnan in this movie.
And even he, but he where he's saying some really cheesy lines, and I know I can just see it in his eyes that he's thinking, just focus on the paycheck.
But he's able to pull those lines off, I think. At least for me.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan's great. No matter what he did on screen, every time he showed up on screen, I was interested in him. Yeah. He was awesome. Also, I'll say just as one last thing, we got to move on here, is just the Legion of Hell terrorizing Kahndaq, and all the people going, like the teenage boy going, we have to stand up for what's right, with the triangle hand thing. Yeah. We have to believe. Believe. I was just like, kill him first.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
The skeleton people, just kill him.
Oh, he made a triangle with his hand. We must fight.
So I also the fact that like the same civilians from like the beginning of the movie were the same ones that showed up at the end in the same spots. They all walked in on the same positions.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, let's listen to him. And then,
come on, guys.
I do like also that Dr. Fate had, the uncle. He tried to save the uncle and was like, hey, don't worry, you're not gonna die yet from this bullet wound. You're actually going to die from electricity. But I'm an electric engineer. All right, well, whatever. And then this fight sequence happens, and he's like, I'm here to fight some skeletons. Don't worry, I'm not going to die, because I die from thunder. Woo! Like, all right, that's pretty funny. Like, that's cool. But the fact that they hit these skeletons with one swing, and that just turns them into dust, I was like, damn, that is the worst Legion of Hell.
Oh, man.
They're
lead pipe.
They're the battle droids from Phantom Menace. I mean,
exactly.
That's exactly what they were. And then when Sabak gets killed, they all go to dust. That's what I thought of. I thought of, they are broken.
I will summon the shittiest army of all time. They're made of with one foul swoop.
They're not even skeletons. They're just literally made of dirt. Like that's why they fall to dust so quickly.
We can take them, guys. Who has to sneeze?
I don't think I saw a single Kahndaq like civilian get killed by those guys either. So it was kind of lame.
no stakes.
But it was kind of cool to see like Kahndaq. They're standing up for their own people and their own country, and they're trying to do what's right. But I'm like, damn, is that all 35 of Kahndaq's people? Like that's
it is
kind of crazy.
Kahndaq population 35.
35.
They just took the same 35 extra.
Possibly 34 in the next movie. But so we got our next scene here. We got just as Sabak is about to kill the JSA, Adam arrives and engages Sabak, ultimately killing him, ripping him in half. The JSA departs on good terms with Adam, who accepts his new role as protector and ruler of Kahndaq, and he destroys that cool throne, doesn't let anybody else take it, while also adopting his name, Black Adam, officially. What did you guys think about this ending fight sequence with Sabak?
Who gives a shit?
You knew he was gonna win. Like, you knew this was just like, let's beat the devil, and every Christian went, yay!
Yeah. I mean, tearing him apart was fun.
I was gonna say, that
was pretty cool.
Caught me off guard. He just like takes him by the horns and like splits him in half, and like you see all the tendrils and all that stuff coming out. I'm like, oh, jeez, like, oh, he's doing this. Like, they're going there.
Perhaps it's another reason why the writing was genius, because it was a metaphor for Black Adam getting rid of his sins and just ripping him away.
Reaching. You are so reaching right now. No.
No, I think the fight sequence, I was like, okay, just give me a big CGI battle sequence and let's get it over with. But how are we gonna close this storyline with Black Adam? Like, is he just gonna be like the ruler? That's it? Like, there's no president, and Kahndaq is just him telling people how to live their lives in this country? Is that how it's gonna work?
Yeah, how is the government being established here now? Like with him, I guess, ruling? I don't know.
Yeah,
I will sit in this chair now, and you can ask me.
They don't really delve into the
does he believe in democracy?
The political structure of Kahndaq very much. They don't really. We're just gonna let him? Okay, he's our ruler now.
He's got a cape now too, so now he's like super cool.
He has to be our ruler. He's got a cape.
Right. When he resummoned Shazam, he had a different costume.
Yeah,
like,
he's got a cape.
now I'm a different kind of hero, an anti-hero. Like, all right, well,
Well, he accept his role, right? He was like, I'm not a hero, and then finally he accept his role as hero. So he's like, well, I guess I need a cape.
yeah.
Heroes have to wear capes.
I was selecting my costume when on non-Shazam form.
I was really thinking about it.
Mix it up this time.
It's kind of sad that there's only one wizard left too in this world of Shazam, and when he gets this power back, I wonder if that one wizard's like, wait, what the hell? Why? How did you're summoning my powers right now? Who are you? I thought you were gone for like 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Are you that
That's
same
crazy.
dick we imprisoned?
What the hell, man?
How'd you get out?
Yeah. Why don't they show up? Be like, whoa, we noticed.
Shit. How do you guys think this is gonna connect in some way in Shazam 2? Like, do you think Shazam's gonna have any interaction whatsoever with Black Adam in the next movie for him? Because
Probably not.
I just feel like there's such a disconnect right now from this character that's literally integrated with who Black Adam is. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see an end credit sequence in Shazam where they're like, oh, by the way, you got one more problem to deal with, buddy. It's Black Adam. Shazam,
Isn't
to be continued.
hasn't The Rock been going out in interviews and things like that talking about this movie, saying that this will be like, this movie is going to be like a turning point, or like
It's a new era.
a new era, a starting off point, right?
Yeah.
So if we're looking at it this way, this doesn't tell me anything.
No.
Okay, this movie happened. We're left at the end of this movie going, okay, what? Superman's gonna come and they're gonna fight at some point.
Pretty
Okay,
much.
I don't know.
mean,
That's all I have. That's all I have.
I think that, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's been heard in interviews to say, like, he doesn't want to just go directly into Superman versus Black Adam because he knows that's what we want, like, right now, but it's too easy. It's too easy to just give us that. Give us a build-up and then show us the fight between the two. Or, even better, throw Shazam in there and make it Shazam versus Superman versus Black Adam. And, like, maybe Superman's trying to teach Shazam how to be a hero while they're fighting Black Adam and trying to uplift Shazam so that Shazam can step up and be the real winner of this battle. Like, it's not about Superman versus Black Adam. It's about Shazam needing to find out who he is as a hero. Those are my theories.
I think you probably thought harder about this than anybody at DC has, honestly.
Probably, yes. Yeah. Well, last but not least, we got our end credits, mid-credit scene, which is Amanda Waller warns a defiant Adam to never leave Kahndaq, then reveals she asked Superman for a favor to drop by. Superman suggests the two of them should talk, and we're left with end credits. I mean, let's be honest, that was like the elephant in the room that everybody already knew about. And I think we were all just ready to show him already, because it's like, yeah, we know Henry Cavill's here. Just give him to us and make it awesome. And boy, did they deliver, in my opinion, because they gave us the curly-haired freaking Clark Kent Superman, and his suit was
curl. He's got the Superman curl now,
and his suit was brighter colored with the nicer blue, with the popping out red. Like, man, it looks so cool. It looks so badass. I will say one thing is that as much as I think he's like the perfect Superman in my eyes, he did seem a little older. He had a couple of wrinkles on his face a little bit.
I mean, these guys are, DC is trying to figure their shit out. Their actors are going to age out of these roles,
Yeah.
Shazam, that guy.
Last time we saw Henry Cavill as Superman, it was it Justice League 2017?
Yeah.
I think
that was the last time. Because we're not counting Peacemaker because you don't even see him. He's all in silhouette.
Yep.
But Jesus, 2017. 5 years.
5 years.
5 years, and this is the next time we see Henry Cavill back as Superman. I'm so glad to see that. Yes, they're sticking with Henry Cavill as Superman. That's good to see, because I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I love his version of Superman. So
honestly, it's a little confusing. So the whole thing with Justice League and then splintering off, and now all the trouble with the Flash. is that it's so disjointed if they don't hit a major reset for all the characters.
Mm.
And having Henry Cavill on, while I think it's awesome, is still holding on to that sort of broken,
Yeah.
Whedon Snyderverse.
Yeah.
You know,
It's sending mixed signals.
yeah,
Which
Yeah.
is stuff that Kevin and I, we've been talking about that for a while. Is like, we don't know what they're gonna they don't know what they're gonna do, and they have not conveyed to us which direction they're going in. They have not made a clear, hard decision on any of this stuff.
Mhm.
It's a lot of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of what it feels like right now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you guys think if, because I know they've also been talking about the sequel to Man of Steel as a possibility
Yeah.
now that this is, been presented to us. If you guys had to see a new Superman movie, would you want it to be called Man of Steel 2? Or would it be better to just scrap that name and go for Superman as the main title?
Sure, why not? Superman.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, I feel like
don't-
it's
yeah.
it's a good way to just say, hey, listen, we know this is the same actor, but this is a new universe we're starting now. Like, we're trying to forget about the old stuff into the new.
I was gonna say, if they are trying to go with this kind of soft reboot of the universe, I feel like they might want to try and stay away from Man of Steel, right?
Yeah.
Probably use some different title. Yeah, why not Superman? Just call it Superman. Just call
Yeah.
it Superman.
I think seeing Henry Cavill in a new appearance as Superman just kind of gave me this huge flash of ideas of I see what I did there. Of ideas where it's like, it doesn't mean that we have to go back to the Snyderverse and treat them as if they're still in that universe. We can, again, talking about Marvel with their multiverse stuff, we just kind of assume that there's multiverse now in the DCEU because Marvel has made it easy for us to kind of accept that. So if we bring back Gal Gadot and bring back Aquaman and all these other actors, maybe not Ezra Miller because he might be in prison, but if you bring back these actors, then just give them new appearances, give them new storylines that don't connect as much anymore to the old universe. Maybe there was a time split after the Snyderverse cut of the Justice League movie came out, and now there's different timelines. And then now, maybe, because this is a new era of DC, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could introduce us to the evil Justice League from that Snyder timeline coming to meet the current new era of the Justice League, and then they fight it off, and then everybody kills each other. It'll be great.
And also, in the Flash TV show, I know that Earth 2 is a thing. They have a multiverse in the DC. Like, that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
And even Ezra Miller has crossed paths with Grant Gustin's Flash on the show. Yeah,
that's true.
There was an episode where it was like a post credit scene or something like that, where Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin are talking to each other and comparing. So, oh, hey, that's cool. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's different. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I don't know. This doesn't give me any more of an indication of where things are going, and nor do I think Shazam will. Nor do I think, any of these other projects that were already still set and underway before Discovery took over. Because Shazam, The Flash, what else? Aquaman 2. All these projects are still from the old era.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be until a few years from now that we're going to start to see what's coming from the new regime over at Warner Brothers. So,
Right.
and it's whatever that ends up being, and how they're going to transition from one to the other, I don't know. But right now, I'm not getting any clear indication.
I don't even know if we'll get a continuation of this,
Yeah. Will we see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back as Black Adam at some point? I don't know.
I think
Superman Black Adam fight, is this going to happen? I don't know.
Based on our previous episodes, also from what we've reported about Warner Brothers, like they're planning on selling Warner Brothers again to another company, and so it's almost as though.
I thought that got debunked now. I thought now
it's like it's kind of still like pretty much there as an idea, and so everybody's thinking like, well, listen, if we're still going to sell this stuff, why don't we just give people just fun movies to watch and enjoy, and then just call it a day so we can sell this and it'll be worth more money because there will be more value based on the quality of these new stories we're making up, instead of trying to work hard for a 10-year plan, because we're clearly not going to do that.
Boy, that's disheartening.
It is disheartening, but also it kind of the reason why I'm hopeful for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is because if Dwayne The Rock Johnson can nail this, and if he wants to take control for now, at least for the rest of this universe storyline stuff before it gets sold again, maybe the story can carry through for the next company. Maybe the next company that buys it will go, hey, you know what? We had a good time with the movies. They look great and successful. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, just keep producing it and keep on managing whatever you want to do with it, man, because it's working, you know? Personally, end of the day, you know, just to finish this all off, I would gladly go back and watch Black Adam because I think it's not just because of the movie I'm having fun with it. I just know that it means more possibilities for Henry Cavill and the rest of the cast and crew of other DC movies, that they have these possibilities of making better content now. And I just don't want to see that go to waste. Although, Raul, I know you've heard my biggest opinion, which is just scrap it all, get rid of it all, and just start it over from scratch.
Just like Etch-a-Sketch the whole thing.
Etch-a-Sketch the whole thing.
Yep.
It personally, at the end of the day, that would just be the easiest thing to do. But if they're gonna go down this route where they can show us some hope that they might have something in mind, then great. I'm more than happy to watch that and check it out. But guys, with that all being said, we made it to the end. So, thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Real Geek News. You can also follow our separate handles on Twitter and Insta at Kevin A. Rivera VO and Raul Ceballos VO. Ted, where can we find you? At
Ted Evans VO.
If you want to boost the quality of our show, help us find more listeners, go on Apple Podcasts, give us a review. We love your support, and it really does help. It really does help people get eyes on our show.
And want to help us share your passionate opinions? Send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com. We'll have all the description below. With that all being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
stay geeky, my friends.